Bill Patterson didn't want to kill his wife. The nagging, the constant talking, the inklings of the neighbor having been over by the time he got off. His neighbor Tom was always overtly friendly to Cynthia. Little glances and looks, a hand around the waist as she walked by, gifts no neighborly friend would naturally give. But still, Bill Patterson didn't want to kill his wife. That's what he told himself from 6 a.m. until he got off at 3 p.m. That's what he told himself on the drive home. That's what he told himself while eating bland, tasteless dinners. But he could. She often went off states away to see her mother for long stretches. Homesick, she'd say. She was often in the hospital for lengthy, draining amounts of time. And thank God she was, or they would have had children by now. God kept Bill Patterson away from that particular pain through Cynthia's shit genetics. Her disappearing for a bit wouldn't be noticed. He'd finally have some space, he thought. A backyard fire and a couple of cleanings and she'd be gone. Eventually, enough time would pass and he'd have to answer for her whereabouts. He often pondered crossing that bridge when he got there. A blaze of glory, a gunfight, a Clyde with his bitch Bonnie out of the picture. But he couldn't. So, when he went to work on this beautiful summer day, he just played through the movie in his head of a few months of peace. Imagining it was almost as good as having it. Zoning out on the drive, barely remembering the stops and turns. Until he hit him. Some poor bastard in the early morning hours, probably sobering up from a long night hitting the bars. Practically jumped off the sidewalk into Bill's car path. That's how he'd later remember it. Bill slams the brake. A man rolls over the hood, splinters the windshield. Then comes to rest on the roof of the shitty Saturn. A groan. Then the man rolls off and slams into the cold, black asphalt.
Holy fuck!
Bill says as tears fill his eyes.
What the fucking fuck?
He gets out of the car as quick as he can, runs around the man on the ground. He's wearing shorts and a hoodie, missing teeth from before the accident, Bill assumed, and looks dirty and grimy. Blood trickles from the corner of his mouth. He's curled up, clutching his stomach.
Jesus Christ! Are you okay?
Bill says, kneeling and putting his hand on the man's shoulder. The streets are dead and empty, as they should be at 5:46 in the morning.
What the hell are you doing out here?
The man just groans. Across the street were the sidewalks and roads leading into a soon-to-be bustling city, but they were still on the outskirts of town. The sidewalk the man had leapt from connected to the deep southern woods that led God knows where. The dirt and grime on him suggested he'd stumbled out of them. Bill remembered briefly seeing the man walking unsteadily like a newborn deer who hadn't learned what his limbs were capable of. Bill thought he was just a homeless drunk, until the man spoke.
This hurts. Oh, it hurts. Oh, God, it hurts.
His voice shifted as he spoke, sometimes human and broken, sometimes deep and ancient. Wrong. Inhuman. Bill watched him writhe and noticed that sometimes the man's eyes would cloud over, all pain leaving them. A dead stare while the body still recoiled. The lucidity would return, then slip away again. Suddenly, it came back, and the man grabbed Bill's shoulders, pulling him close.
What the fuck is happening?
Bill screamed.
That thing bit me. It hurts. It hurts.
What the fuck are you talking about? You jumped in front of my car!
I had to. The woods. The antlers. On something. It hurts. It hurts. It's in me.
Moving me.
Bill's mind raced. Trauma. Shock. Dying. Blood. Jail. Lawsuits. Therapy. The blank stare washed over the man's face again.
You can do it,
The man said. More from his throat than his mouth. A guttural growl.
What?
Kill her. And have a bonfire.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Cynthia.
Bill fell backward, hit the asphalt, scrambled to his feet. The man's eyes cleared again. Kill me, he said.
Kill me.
Please. Bill took another step back. It's in
Me.
It hurts.
It sees through my eyes.
Then came the gurgling. The man convulsed, choking, trying to swallow his tongue. Bill remembered something about seizures and wallets and mouse, but his body wouldn't move. He stood frozen, crying without realizing it. The gurgling stopped. The man lay still. Bill collapsed onto the asphalt again, gasping. No one had appeared. No cars. No witnesses. Minutes passed. Then the man moved. Bill jumped to his feet, hand over his mouth, small yelps escaping him. Bones cracked and twisted, elbows bent the wrong way, legs planted, hands pressed into the road, lifting the body from its broken shape. The man arched into a back bend, eyes grayed over, head pointed straight up. Then he began to move. Walking, crawling, something else, dragging himself toward the forest. At the tree line, it stopped. The man's head twisted, impossibly, until his eyes met Bill's.
Kill Cynthia. Bill.
Then it scuttled into the shadows. Bill Patterson was late for work. Antlers. Bill Patterson sat at his desk, and that was the one word that rolled through his mind. Antlers. Bit me. I had to. What did it mean? After the accident, Bill had only noticed how hungry he was. He stood beside his car, one hand braced against it, involuntarily retching and dry heaving until his throat burned. When it finally stopped, he wiped his mouth and looked around the vehicle. No marks. No blood. No sign anything had happened. He stood up straight and looked at the roof. There was a shallow dent where the man, the thing, he thought, had come to rest. Bill smacked the metal with one flat hand. The dent eased out with a soft pop, like it had never been there. Now, he sat at his desk, staring at a near-blank spreadsheet. His face was pallid, his eyes bloodshot. He tried to remember the man's words. Antlers. It sees through my eyes. It bit me. twisted bones breaking. Kill Cynthia. Hey, don't work too hard now, Billy boy. A hand slapped his shoulder. Bill jumped so hard his chair screeched. Oh, now, the voice laughed. Easy, it's just me, man. Bill turned to see his supervisor, Leland.
Oh, sorry,
Bill said.
I guess I was almost asleep.
About time for your lunch nap, ain't it? Bill tried to smile. It didn't quite take. Leland squinted at him. You alright, buddy? You don't look so hot.
Yeah, just a rough morning.
Rough how? Leland said, then grinned. One too many hits from the bottle, he said in a mock Burgess Meredith voice. He put his fist up as a foul boxer. You had him back, though, didn't you, Rock?
Hungry.
Bill's mind slipped. His stomach twisted. Images flashed. Greasy food. Meat. Warmth. Then his wife. Nude. And motionless on their dining room table. Bill? He blinked, disturbed by his own thoughts.
Yeah, sorry. Just hungry. You wanna grab a bite, Lee?
They sat beneath the dim sodium lights inside the deli next door. Leland talked. Bill ate. He ate like he hadn't eaten in weeks. So I says to her, Leland stopped. Yo, you hungry, bud? Bill stared up blankly. Leland laughed. Guess so. They both chuckled, but it didn't last. They ate in silence for a moment. Leland cleared his throat. So, Cynthia doing all right? Bill didn't look up. She's still sick?
Sometimes.
You ever think... Bill's jaw tightened.
Think what?
That, Tom's over there again. Bill finally looked at him. For a second, Leland swore he saw something sharp, murderous, and feral flicker in his eyes. Then it was gone.
I wouldn't know.
Leland nodded slowly. You ever get tired of it?
Tired of what?
Wondering. Bill swallowed, then said quietly.
I get tired of being made a fool.
Leland stiffened. That's not what I meant. Bill wiped his mouth.
If I wanted to know, I'd just go home.
Right now?
Why not?
The words sat heavy between them. Leland tried to laugh it off. Hey, let's not ruin a good lunch. Bill didn't respond. He just kept eating. They talked about other things after that, but the edge stayed. Later back at the office, Leland couldn't shake the image of Bill's face. Pale, sunken, scared. As the last one there, Leland made his usual round. When he reached Bill's cubicle, he stopped. Loose-leaf paper covered the desk. Doodles. Antlers. Dozens of pages, each one covered in them. Long, branching, jagged, drawn over and over from different angles, but never on an animal. Each set of antlers sprouted from a thick, dark scribble. The scribbles had eyes. Big, triangular, angry. Leland picked up one page, then another. His stomach lurched. He didn't know why. There was nothing there. Just pen and paper and bored doodles. But the longer he looked, the sicker he felt. He dropped the pages back onto the desk and stepped away, breathing hard for reasons he couldn't understand. On his way home, Leland passed the road near the woods on the outskirts of town. Something lay sprawled across the asphalt. At first he thought it was roadkill. Then he felt that same sickness in his gut. An indecipherable mess. Bones and flesh smashed together, flattened and smeared across both lanes, like something large had been dragging it. The marks led into the tree line.
My husband has really been frightening me.
It was a strange thought. Foreign. Dark. Cynthia never imagined she'd be the woman afraid of her husband. Not Billy Patterson. Not the boy she started dating in high school who clung to her like a life raft. Not the meek, quiet, nerdy accountant she married. Not the man she would sleep with on occasion. Used to sleep with on occasion. Over the past few weeks, she tried to push these thoughts away. But Bill's behavior wouldn't allow it. Yes, their marriage had been rotting for a while. Yes, there were silent dinners and nights on the couch. For both of them. Yes, she was unsatisfied, restless, and often thought about leaving. But scared? No. Never. Before now. At first, she thought Bill might be cheating on her. He stood differently. Straighter. Firmer. He ate more than he had in years, and more aggressively. The late-night pouty glances, the timid hope for sex he was too afraid to ask for, had vanished. Maybe he'd found some little secretary to sink his teeth into, she thought. God knew she'd let her own eyes wander over the past year. But that didn't quite fit. The fear started the night she noticed him leaving the bed. The first night, she assumed it was an aging bladder. The second night, she barely stirred. By the fourth, curiosity pulled her up behind him. She crept into the bathroom. Dark. Listened in the hallway. Nothing. She checked the kitchen, the living room. The house felt empty in a way that made her skin prickle. Eventually, she gave up and returned to the bedroom. That's when she saw the shape in the backyard. She froze, eyes adjusted to the deep southern darkness as summer gave way to fall. At first she couldn't tell what she was looking at. Then she realized it was a person. Then she realized it was Bill. He stood completely still at the edge of the yard, facing the tree line, like a sentry. Not pacing, not smoking, just standing. Sleep didn't come easily after that night. It only got worse. Every night the pattern repeated. That was when the fear truly set in, she admitted to herself. It wasn't just strange. It was wrong. While that behavior stayed the same, everything else shifted. Bill grew loud, demanding, short-tempered. He ate 2 or 3 times what he used to, chewing fast, barely tasting it. He spoke less, grunted more. He started calling in sick. It reached a point where Cynthia felt New. She was living with a stranger in a house she no longer recognized. She hadn't told Tom. She couldn't. They didn't talk about Bill when they were together. It felt like crossing a line.
Hungry. So fucking hungry.
Bill didn't understand it. He ate constantly. But food never touched it. The hunger sat deeper than his stomach, gnawing and sharp. The confusion fed his anger. Sleep offered no escape since the accident. Every dream had been the same nightmare. The man, the screams, the words he couldn't quite grasp. Sometimes the words changed. Instead of "it sees through my eyes," he heard "I see through your eyes." Or maybe he only thought they'd changed. The certainty never survived waking. Instead of "it hurts," he heard "you're hurt." By morning, the meaning slipped away, leaving only agitation behind, along with the hunger. Most nights he woke drenched in sweat and stepped outside into the warm air. He'd stand barefoot in the grass, staring into the tree line, trying to convince himself that what he'd seen on the road hadn't followed him home, or that it had ever been real at all. Until one night, he noticed movement. Not close, further back, half lost in fog and overlapping trunks where the force thickened. Something large, still. A buck, he thought. He stared, trying to resolve it. The longer he looked, the less certain he became. If he stepped forward, the shape seemed to fracture into branches and shadow. If he stepped back and quieted his breath, his thoughts, it would return. He came out every night after that, not out of curiosity, but because sleep no longer worked. He watched the shape wander gently through the trees, silent, unbothered. One night, it seemed to turn. Bill felt it before he understood it. That uneasy awareness of being seen. He couldn't tell if the buck had actually noticed him, or if his mind had simply decided it had. As it drifted closer, details suggested themselves. Matted fur, dark patches that couldn't have been blood or mud, antlers that looked wrong, too heavy, uneven, tangled in shadow. For a moment, he thought he saw skin pulled tight where it shouldn't be, bone pressing too close beneath it. His eyes burned from staring. The shape shifted. For an instant, it looked as if the animal had begun to stand, lifting unnaturally high, its front legs no longer where he expected them to be. Bill blinked hard, heart hammering. When his vision settled, the buck was still there, still looking back at him. He exhaled shakily. Fear gave way to something else. Not understanding. Relief. As if something inside him had finally stopped thrashing. The buck's head tilted. One front leg shifted. Just slightly, extending at an odd angle. Bill couldn't tell if it was a step, a twitch, or something his mind imposed after too many sleepless nights. It looked like it was pointing. The gesture pulled his attention, and he followed it without thinking. Bill realized he'd turned around. Fear had finally taken hold of Cynthia. She rose again that night, heart pounding, already certain she'd find him there. The backyard was darker than usual, the moon swallowed by clouds, fall beginning to press its weight into the air. She strained her eyes until the familiar silhouette emerged at the edge of the property. It was Bill. It was always Bill. But something was wrong. She leaned closer to the grass, vision sharpening just enough to understand what felt different. He wasn't facing the woods. He was standing still in the yard, head tilted upward, looking directly at the house. Looking directly at her.
Okay. I slept with his wife.
Tom knew he was a sack of shit for it. He could sit and rationalize it all day. But the truth was simpler. He'd fallen in love with her. She was so alone. It was hard not to. And now Bill's car never left the driveway. Big Billy, the husband. The man who, in Tom's mind, had worn her down until she didn't know who she was anymore. He couldn't understand why she wouldn't just cut the rope and leave. But then, he'd have to face why he was the hapless fool who only ever slinked over after her husband went to work. None of that mattered now. 2 days ago, he'd gone over and knocked on the door. He hadn't seen either of them in weeks, and the cars never moved. He told himself it was a neighborly concern, not guilt, that brought him there. He knocked. From inside the house came a sound. Something quick, low, hurried. Something like scuttling across the floor. Had they gotten a dog? The door barely opened. Cynthia peeked out through the narrow gap. Or what used to be Cynthia. She looked gaunt, hollowed. Her eyes sat too deep in her face. Her hair limp and unwashed.
Go away,
she said. Tom blinked. The words hit harder than he expected.
Well, I was just checking in,
he said, the sentence lifting at the end like a question. Her eyes flicked past him for a split second. Somewhere, over his shoulder. Tom noticed it, though he didn't understand why it unsettled him so badly. Another sound came from deeper inside the house. That same quick movement. Too close.
I don't want to talk to you anymore, Tom,
she said. Her voice trembled despite the firmness of the words.
You're ruining my marriage.
Tom froze. Bill had to be home. Why would she say that out loud? Did he know? Tom suddenly became acutely aware of his breathing, of how loud it sounded in the quiet porch air.
Oh. Well,
The door shut. 2 days passed, and Tom couldn't make head nor tail of what had happened. Why weren't they leaving the house? He considered calling the police, but the thought collapsed in on itself immediately. Why, hello, yes. The woman I was sleeping with and her husband don't go outside much anymore. He couldn't tell if he was waiting for an ass-kicking or some twisted rescue mission that would sweep Cynthia away from all of this. Mostly, it just hurt. But Tom was in his mid-30s, and heartbreak was something he told himself he'd outgrown. Well, so was sneaking around with married women. But Tom didn't know mid-30s would be as close to old age as he'd ever get to. He'd get over it, or at least he hoped he would. Maybe even move towns. That evening, he sat alone in his living room, the light gone from the window, still turning the situation over and over in his head, wondering if something more serious might be happening at the Pattersons. Something that might actually justify his involvement. That's when he heard it. A sound from outside. Soft. Broken. Whimpering. Tom turned toward the kitchen, heart ticking faster. He listened again. Yes. Definitely something. Crying, maybe, or at least close to it. He stood and moved quietly into the kitchen. The sound wasn't coming from his yard exactly. Definitely somewhere near it. He crept to the back window and peered out. Careful to stay hidden. In the dim, early darkness, he saw them. It didn't register at first. Cynthia was on the ground in the Pattersons' backyard, on all fours. She wore a white dress. No, her wedding dress. Her body shook, shoulders hitching as if she were heaving or struggling to breathe. Behind her knelt Bill, nude, his pale torso stark against the dark grass. His hands gripped her hips as he pressed into her, moving with a slow, deliberate rhythm. And he was staring directly into Tom's kitchen window, as if he'd known exactly where Tom would be standing. Tom's stomach lurched. He felt shock, disgust, and fear all at once. He wanted to look away. He couldn't. As Bill's movement slowed, he lifted his arms. Slowly. Deliberately. He raised them above his head and pressed the backs of his hands against his scalp, palms facing outward. Then he curled his fingers, twisting them, bending them at sharp, unnatural angles. Tom covered his mouth.
Is he? Is he making antlers?
Cynthia lifted her head. Their eyes met. She was crying. Tom had moved to the sink, and against his will, the contents of his stomach emptied into it. He stumbled back to the couch in a daze, mind racing more than ever. He sat for what felt like a minute. Was it only a minute, or had an hour passed? He couldn't be sure. Before suddenly jumping back up, racing to the kitchen window again. He wasn't sure what came after him reaching it, but he felt the urge to do something. But there was nothing. No crying bride, no nude man making hand antlers to the sky. No sick displays of dominance or whatever he had witnessed. Tom decided to sleep, to let his brain toil over everything unconsciously that his conscious mind couldn't seem to puzzle together. It was somewhere in this space, deep in his sleep, that he decided as soon as he woke up, he was going back over to the Pattersons. He couldn't have known it'd be the last decision he'd ever make.
Hungry. So hungry.
It started small, gnawing, but it grew day after day until the mind collapsed on itself and could only think about hunger. Cynthia hadn't eaten for 3 days this time. She saw flashes of broken glass. Remember the deep growl in Bill's voice as he confronted her. That had been weeks ago now. It was the third broken door when she confessed to her affair with Tom. Since then, it had been appeasement. She didn't know what it was made of anymore. Fear, love, habit, but she knew she couldn't stand to see what she did to Bill. The hurt, the anger, the way his face changed when he looked at her. It was her fault. She knew it was her fault because he told her it was. Fall had settled in while she wasn't paying attention. The heat of summer had slipped away, replaced by colder evenings that came earlier each night. She didn't know how much longer she could last. First, it was isolation. He didn't want her to leave the house. He didn't trust her. She complied, not even for late afternoon walks. Then it was the cleaning. All day, every day. Cleaning and removal of useless things. At first, useless things, then keepsakes. Things she loved most. He burned them late at night in the bonfire out back. One armful at a time, while she scrubbed the walls and floors until she passed out. He wanted every cent of him out of the house, Bill had said. Fear came on slowly, so slowly that she barely noticed it taking root. It worked its way into every fold of her brain until obedience felt natural. This was her fault. She deserved to be scared. And the starving began. He never called her fat or commented on her body, not even this new version of him. The only thing he said was,
"It helps me not be so hungry."
She didn't know what that meant. She didn't ask when he dumped the contents of the refrigerator into the bonfire. He started hunting. Or at least he called it hunting. Sometimes, when he came back with his bounty, she could have sworn it was just roadkill. At first, the hunger didn't bother her. She wouldn't have eaten anyway, but day after day, it took more out of her. Thought, strength, will. He never hit her, never screamed at her beyond that first night. This wasn't abuse, she thought. This was atonement. She couldn't believe it. Had it been days or longer since Tom had knocked on the door last? She couldn't remember. She couldn't remember much anymore, just hunger, fear, and a quiet need to be forgiven. She was sitting on the kitchen floor, too tired, or maybe too afraid, to get up. She pulled her knees to her chest and stared at the door in the dark. She didn't know where Bill was until she saw his shape move from the hallway toward the living room. He looked too low to the ground. The darkness and her weakness might have been playing tricks on her. Then she saw him pause at the door, his silhouette hunched as he peered out the window. After a moment, he straightened and stood tall again, like himself. She remembered someone was at the door. Her mind raced. Please don't be Tom. The door creaked open as Bill leaned his head through the crack.
Now listen,
She recognized Tom's voice before the sentence finished. It stopped short as the door opened wider. She imagined the sight of Bill was enough to do it. Unwashed, dirty from the woods, stinking of mud and something else she didn't want to name.
Jesus Christ, Bill!
Tom said.
Let me call a doctor.
The door opened fully. Cynthia saw Tom clearly now, concerned, afraid, then suddenly dead. A quick movement, a wet sound. Tom collapsed to the floor. She didn't remember when she started screaming, only that she couldn't stop. Bill dragged Tom inside and shut the door. He hauled the body to the threshold between the living room and the kitchen and let it fall. It hit the floor with a hollow thud. Bill crouched, sitting back on his heels, staring down at Tom's empty eyes. Cynthia looked once and turned away. When she looked again, Bill had leaned closer. His mouth hung open as he inched towards Tom's neck, its dark red sheen catching the light. She screamed again, or thought she did. Just before his teeth touched skin, Bill stopped. He straightened back into his crouch and lifted his head. He looked directly at her.
I'm sorry, baby,
he said softly.
Are you hungry, baby?
The hazardous weather conditions are expected from 3 a.m. to 3 p.m. Saturday.
She didn't remember when the snow had come. She only remembered the radio, how it kept repeating itself, warning after warning about a late fall blizzard. The hand-cranked radio was the only thing in the house still connected to the outside. The heat was gone. The power, the water. The house breathed cold now. At some point, she'd heard paper slapped against the front door and slid to the floor. Bill hadn't let her look at it. Why had no one tried to check on her? On them? Bill had said they wouldn't. Only Tom had. Tom, who she'd been forced to carry with Bill out to the bonfire late one night. Who she'd been forced to carry back inside when Bill decided the fire wouldn't do. Tom, whose body lay still on the kitchen floor. The same place she'd curled into herself. Helpless. As Bill murdered him. She decided she had to leave. She let the hunger sharpen her thoughts. The warnings kept coming. And she knew the roads would close. There would be no second chance. So, here she sat, in the front seat of their car. A key turned uselessly in the ignition. Dead. Sabotaged. It didn't matter which. She saw Bill come around the house from the backyard.
Come on, baby.
He said quietly through the driver's side window.
It's almost dinner time. The meal we've been waiting for.
His hands pressed against the glass, ash-stained and cracked. His face tried for forgiveness. His eyes did not.
Please, come back inside,
He said.
The car isn't going to.
Headlights cut through the falling snow. A car pulled in behind her, slow and cautious. For a moment, Cynthia didn't understand what she was seeing. Then, recognition hit her like pain. Jeez, Bill, what the fuck? Leland stepped out into the snow. From the office, someone had come.
She confessed, Lee.
Bill said calmly as Leland approached.
We were right.
Cynthia lost control. She screamed until her throat burned, slammed her hands against the steering wheel, leaned on the horn that made no sound. Leland looked at her, then back at Bill. He didn't look long. Whatever this was, it was already too much. Bill, Leland said carefully. Let's go to a hospital before the roads. Bill said.
This is a family matter.
Leland took a step back. His hand went into his pocket. I'm calling the police. Cynthia went still. She didn't watch. She heard Leland hit the ground. The sound was dull and final. Time stretched thin. She sat frozen, eyes closed until she heard the door open and close again. Opened her eyes just long enough to see Bill dragging Leland inside before shutting them again. She thought about trying for Leland's car. Just once. But Bill was already back outside, impossibly fast. His hand settled on her shoulders and guided her toward the house. "Shh," he said.
It's too cold out front. We'll warm you up.
The door closed behind them. She fell to the floor. She didn't know how long she was out. When she woke, something had shifted. Hunger had won. Bill crouched over her, watching. She kept her eyes closed. It was now or never. She moved without thinking. Her foot found him. He fell back hard. She followed, clawing, tearing, screaming as blood spilled hot and bright across the room. Bill's words came broken and small.
I love you. It hurts.
Then nothing. She dragged herself to the wall by the front door, gasping. The house swam around her. Broken doors. Mud. Her husband's body. Her eyes drifted toward the kitchen. Another body. She couldn't tell where she was anymore, or when, or whose fault any of it had been. She remembered Tom once, last winter, putting his coat around her shoulders as she cried on the back porch. Was she hungry then, too? The storm pulled her back. Snow fell thick and fast. The road was gone. She tried Leland's car. It slid uselessly, bottoming out at the hill. Inside again. Cabinets. The fridge. Empty. She collapsed to the floor, only feet from Tom's half-burned body. The house went quiet. Not peaceful, but emptied. The radio clicked in her hands, repeating the same warning through static. The storm had erased the road, the yard, the direction town used to be. She knew the distance. She knew she wouldn't make it on foot. Not in this cold. Not like this. Her eyes drifted back to the living room, back to the body she had learned not to look at for too long. Bill had called it food, had said it plainly, like a fact. She tried to think the way she had been forced to. Slow, practical, careful, measure distance, measure time, measure what the cold would take first. She was just so hungry. After the snow thawed, police made their way up to the Pattersons' place after a call from one of Leland's girlfriends. All she knew was that he'd gone to check on a coworker who'd recently quit. As the officer pulled into the yard, noting the state of the house before stepping out, he noticed a lone buck standing near the road, its head tilted upward, antlers cutting clean against the sky. If he'd brought his rifle, he thought, he would have taken it home. He cursed himself for skipping breakfast. He was suddenly awfully hungry. Hey everybody, it's Enzo here. Hope you're all having a pretty good night. It's been a while since I've given you all an update. I'm pretty sure it was on the last series that I did, so well over a month. Apologize if you hear some background noises. My upstairs neighbors cause a lot of noise, and I think my roommate is currently up right now. But it is what it is. This may be a long one. I've got a few things to tell you, a few updates to come out with. First and foremost, what a video. I mean, absolutely awesome. This is probably, I think, the most ambitious video I've done for my channel so far. It is a little weird to be doing a series and not have it come out over weeks at a time, but I don't know. This was a really cool experience, and I'm really glad that I got to do this. I am slightly a little bummed out that it didn't reach an hour. I actually thought it was going to be well over an hour, but you know, I'm glad how it turned out. This is the longest video that I've done for my channel so far, and I feel like every other couple months I'm saying that, but I get to say it again this time. So, special thanks to the author, JayBurdddd. If you are watching this, props to you. You wrote an absolute banger, and I am so honored and privileged that I was able to get your series out. Thank you for trusting me with your art. This wouldn't have happened without you, and I'm very, very grateful. So, thank you for indulging me. Second, of course, as usual, I always love to get shoutouts to people who collaborate with me in my videos that I make. What an all-star cast. I wouldn't have been able to do it without both of you. And, of course, I'm talking about Whispers from Unknown Frequencies, who voiced Bill, as well as Tom, and Morgan Goodman, who voiced Cynthia. What a blast, what a pleasure to have them both on the channel. Again, for those of you who don't know the lore, I've had both of these amazing voice actors on my channel before. I had Whispers from Unknown Frequencies on the long-running series. I worked for the Paranormal FBI a couple months ago. It's been a while. Dude is amazing at his craft. Great voice acting. He's probably one of my favorite people to work with at this point, making videos with. Dude, you came in clutch with this one. Super awesome. Proud to have you back on this channel. Hopefully, we'll be making many, many more videos together in the future. I've run down a couple ideas with him, and we'll see how those turn out. But I definitely gotta have Whispers from Unknown Frequencies back on this channel as soon as possible. And of course, we have the very, very talented Morgan Goodman back on this channel. What a gift, what a blessing. I am so proud of the work and dedication that you did for this video. Absolutely amazing. When I heard, I asked her if she could potentially do, a scream for me for Cynthia, and when I heard it for the first time, I was absolutely blown away. It was awesome work. Morgan Goodman was also in a series I did about a month or two ago on this channel as well. I'm going to be linking both of these series that I'm talking about in the end credits, so if any of you are new and you haven't seen those series yet and you want to go and listen to those, they'll be linked at the end. I am just grateful to have both of you back on the channel. Awesome work. I don't think this video would have been the same without both of your talent. So once again, just thank you so much. I'm going to be linking both of their channels as well down below in the description, so go ahead and check them both out. They both do amazing work. So I have, in this last portion, just a slew of announcements. Announcement number one, I'm going to be actually moving in the next week and a half. I'm still going to be living here in the city. It's only going to actually be a mile down the road, but it'll be my own space in a duplex. So this is actually kind of good news for you all, because recording here in this apartment that I'm living in is a pain in the ass, actually. My upstairs neighbors are pretty loud, and the cars outside get kind of loud. I'm sharing kind of a building with a lot of people, so there's a lot of noises, and I have to do a lot of retakes in my recordings. But now that I'm going to be situated in a little bit more of a quiet setting, I won't necessarily have to do that, and I'll potentially be able to get out longer stories at a more frequent rate. I try to get stories out between, anywhere between 12 and 20 minutes, but I'd still like to do that, but I would also, every other week or something, be able to get something that has 25 minutes or more, or 30 minutes or more. Now that I won't be having to do all those retakes because of all the noises outside, that will leave more opportunities for longer stories, and I know some of you like that. So, and I always like longer stories as well. Second announcement, and this is kind of going to be segueing into third and fourth announcement, and this will be total, is I am very close to getting that adapter for my mic. Hopefully I'll be ordering it in the next week or two. I know I said I think I wanted to be here at the end of the month, so I'm really hoping that's going to be the case, and I'm hoping the sound quality is going to be a little bit better going forward. I'm super excited for that, and as soon as I get this new piece for my mic, I am going to be starting early recording the stories that I want to do for the Halloween countdown that I'm going to be doing again, leading from the end of October to Halloween Day. I'll be getting right on those stories as soon as that adapter comes in, and after that is completed, eventually I want to start tackling this documentary that I want to do for the channel. This is going to be crazy. It's going to be different from anything that I've done at this point. I will always be a narrator / creepypasta channel, but it's going to be a lot of fun to make, and I'm super stoked to be able to produce such a thing. So, anyway, I'm kind of rambling at this point. That's pretty much it. Hope you all enjoyed this video. Go check out Whispers from Unknown Frequencies and Morgan Goodman, and expect definitely in the future more stuff from JayBurdddd coming out. You all have a good night, and stay tuned.